Hello, today I want to share with you something that will give you big wins throughout your day with small actions. And we tend to focus on big goals, but the real progress comes from small, consistent actions. And today I want to talk about the power of 3 daily wins, why they matter, and how they can transform your mindset and how you can use them to create real change in your life. Welcome to the Heart Path Podcast, your space to realign, reconnect and rise. I'm Nicola Spencer. I'm a thought leader, a coach in women's confidence, an NLP practitioner, a human design specialist, teacher and coach. And I'm here to help women in their 40s and 50s rediscover their purpose, find the joy in the chaos and rise into their next chapter with confidence and grace. Together we'll explore stories, strategies and soulful insights to help you embrace your true self and step into a life you love. This is where we let go of limits, redefine what's possible and thrive in every season of life. It's your time to rise. Are you ready?
This is my moment, my heart's design. I rise and thrive, the world is mine. On the heart path, where dreams take flight, I shine my brightest, my guiding light.
Welcome back to the Heart Path, where we dive into self-discovery, alignment and living with intention. I'm Nicola Spencer and I'm here to guide you on your journey to reconnect with yourself, embrace your strengths and create a life that really feels truly aligned. Now, today we're talking about the power of 3 daily wins. Now, I've been using this concept for a while, but really consistently for the last 6 months, and I've made it a daily habit. I don't always write this down, but I think that, as I lay in bed, I think of 3 daily wins that I can have, and I start it as part of a routine. Okay, so before my feet hit the floor in the morning, I kind of, in my mind, I have 3 things that I can achieve today on that day. Okay, so if it's a routine day, sometimes the things are the same, and everyone, you get up, get ready, go to work, come home, type of thing. But on the weekends, you can have a little bit of variety in there as well. So one of the, I guess, I'm inspired by my brother who has had this daily habit of making his bed every day. And he's been doing this for a long time. And it sounds like just a simple thing. And I remember having conversations with him, the family gatherings, and he always spoke about making his bed every day. And now that I've kind of like got this focus as well, it really makes a lot of sense. So when he gets up and makes his bed, he's already ticked off one of those goals before he's even really started his day. And what happens when you set a goal and you tick it off, you kind of get like a little bit of a dopamine hit in your brain and it feels good. So it can just be as small as that, something that you do already, and you kind of do it intentionally rather than just do it out of, like routine or habit. You do it intentionally and you celebrate the fact that you've done that because you've now achieved something for the day. And, and that can be in the first half an hour of the day, depending on, the timing that you do that. So, this leads on to, we all set big goals. The focus is right from when you're at school. What is your big goal? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? And, like these are big, all-encompassing goals. They're great to have, but the real progress comes from small, consistent actions that you take every day. And, it may not seem like it's a goal because it's just something that you do every day. But if we didn't do that every day, then what would happen? Things would start to slide. So this is why it's so powerful to have the 3 daily wins as part of your routine. It transforms your mindset and it can really create change in your life. Now, not most, but a lot of things I do, there's some kind of science behind it. And, as human beings, we are wired for progress. And, as I said, we're at school. You go through school, and every time you get your grades, you're kind of like, yay, or, maybe it's a bit disappointing. And every time you kind of get a little boost you get like this dopamine hit that comes in and increases your motivation. If you can think back to a time when you have had some kind of like something in progress, every time you've had like a little win, it keeps you motivated. Well, losing weight, that's a really good example. Okay, so losing weight, every time that you notice something, and it might not necessarily be a scales related thing, but every time you notice that there's some kind of little improvement, it gives you like a little dopamine hit, and you give yourself a pat on the back, and yes, I can do this, and your like enthusiasm to keep going is increased. So this is what happens when we have the 3 little things every day. And we're not really focusing on the big achievements, we're just focusing on what we're doing right now. Because if you focus on things that are like so say like we'll lose weight, seeing so that's come up. So if you're focused on that you need to lose 10 kilos and you get on the scales and you've only lost 500 grams, that kind of like, it should be celebrated, but if you're still focusing on 10 and you've only lost half a kilo, it's kind of like you get that feeling that, oh my God, what am I doing? It's not enough. And, this burnout comes in, frustration, self-doubt. You might start self-sabotaging. If you have 3 little goals per day, okay, so if we use it as a weight loss thing, it could be that you do some movement. That could be it. It could be that you are eating intentionally, and maybe it's that you have a mindful practice. And those don't necessarily all have to relate back to your weight loss goal, but they certainly would help for it. So the important thing is when you're doing your 3 goals is we want to remove that self-doubt that the big long-term goal is achievable, and these little steps that you have along the way build habits for your ego and your mind to really appreciate that the little things actually make up the big things. So when you have these little small wins coming up, you'll notice your confidence increases, your resilience to, the knockbacks and the fall downs, and, the old saying, what is it? Something like fall down 8 times, get up once, or something. That's not it. I can't actually remember what it is. I don't have it. I've just got it. These things just drop in as I'm going. I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure that you can understand what I mean. So the idea is that you, every time you get knocked down, you stand back up again. Every time you stand back up again, you are more resilient because of whatever has happened in the past. Okay. Now, for a woman in their 40s or 50s, it's really crucial to keep this momentum going. There's so many things that we are faced with on a daily basis that are telling us, that we're invisible, we're not enough, and it's easy for us to end up feeling like we're stuck and we're overwhelmed and we've lost our sense of purpose. And if you just set yourself these little goals, it helps breaking the cycle of things. And I know myself, and it still happens, we're all a work in progress, right? There'll be days when I'll think to myself, I might list off a few things I'm going to do, and then things will just snowball, and you kind of like get to like mid-afternoon, and you think, oh, I haven't actually achieved anything today, even though you've actually been productively busy. It wasn't what you really wanted to do. And then sometimes for me, I think, oh, look, I'm just going to start again tomorrow, type of thing, and I'll take that as a sign that whatever I was planning to do isn't really right for it to happen today. And we can get into this all or nothing thinking where We think we've got to do everything now, and the cycle keeps coming around, and we end up doing nothing. And those days, if I look back on it and I'm honest, it's probably because I wasn't really disciplined enough with what I had decided to do. And writing it down helps as well. So, a daily morning routine of writing it down does help. Now, when you have the 3 daily wins, it kind of does create like that bit of control around. And we need to be careful about the word control, because you don't want to be controlling onto something, like you don't want to have control so tightly that you are trying to control everything, and it stops you from moving forward. And you still need to keep the amount of fluid in your life so that you have control of some things, but you allow some things to, come in, because if you don't allow things to come in, you're not going to be able to see the possibilities of how you can move forward. Okay, so no matter what's going on externally to you, it's really great to try and keep that internal monologue going, that goal setting, the 3 daily wins, keep that on track. Okay, so this is how these 3 daily wins can work. So the idea is that at the beginning of the day, you set yourself 3 small goals that you can achieve easily, and they don't have to take a long time either. And you write them down. Okay, so no matter how small they are, and it could be, you can decide how you do it. Okay, it could be a journal, maybe sticky notes, maybe you've got a whiteboard thing on your fridge. It doesn't really matter. I actually have a 3 daily wins tracker. Just a simple little piece of paper like this. This is actually set up so that it can include some personal goals as well as some work goals. If that doesn't align with you, then you can change it. So it's using something to track it. And it's actually not really tracking, it's recording it. So you are recording down at the beginning of the day 3 little things that you can do so that you can get that high of that dopamine hit of, yes, I've achieved it. And those little things then build up to the big things. So you might be thinking of yourself, okay, well, what can I do? What can my wins be? So I've already mentioned, my brother's one that he uses is, making the bed. And by the way, he doesn't actually realize that this is a pattern that he has developed, and he's probably got other goals, but this is just one that I remember, and it kind of has really stuck in my mind about this. And so it could just be like making the bed. Okay, maybe there's some tasks that that could be completed in a short amount of time that have been hanging over your head, and you just want to knock them on the head. Okay, it could be them. Maybe it's about drinking water or getting fresh air. If you've got lunch break, maybe just going outside for 10 minutes and just, breathing in the fresh air and just spending a little bit of time in nature. Maybe it's having a meaningful conversation with someone, or setting a boundary around something, and really looking out for the opportunities where you can say and speak into something that didn't serve you. Okay, so it could be taking 5 minutes throughout the day to meditate and breathe, and this is something I try and do. As a busy teacher, I don't get a lot of breaks, and when I do get my breaks, they're not very long either. So I do try, and I've actually got a reminder set in my phone that I can try and have a 5-minute meditate breathing kind of session somewhere throughout the day when it's going to work for me. So maybe, if you're including anything of this, it could be that you are a client of mine. She has shared with me, I guess, around about October last year, I think it was, and she had mentioned that she had an incident, a really it was a real upheaval in her family and personal life, and there was a lot of conflict, and she has reflected from that, and she has decided that she wants to be more like come from a place of responding rather than reactive. And maybe that could be a goal. And she's set that as a daily goal for herself, that to always look out for the places in her life where she could be more responsive rather than reactive. Okay, so and she said she's having better conversations with people because she's actually listening to them before she's responding. Okay, so yeah, responding with her words. So yeah, it can be any of those kinds of things. Now, when you get into this habit, this really does work because it helps you shift the focus from what you didn't do to what you did do. And, you know, if we live in the land of what we didn't get done, you know, as a mum, there's like I said earlier, there's days when things will happen. And most of those times when things happen and you don't get things done, it's usually because of something that's happened in the house that you don't really have necessarily control over. And you have to, you know, take care of your kids and, you know, all those kinds of things that come up, housework and, you know, things like that. But that happens, life happens, but we really want to focus on what did we do. And when you do that, it creates the momentum and the motivation for the next day. So part of this process is reviewing it at the end of the day so you can, you know, celebrate it, and it puts you in a great mind frame for the next day as well. And every time you have these like little shifts, these positive reinforcements are happening all the time. And then it becomes something that happens and you don't even notice it's happening. It just happens as part of your normal everyday life, and you start to realize how beautiful the whole thing is. Okay, so now there's a few ways you can do this. You, depending on what fits with you, maybe you're a journaler, or maybe you want to start journaling, and this will be a great way to start journaling in the morning. Each morning you can write down what your 3 tracker goals are, and even maybe you can write down how it could look. Okay, so one of the questions I am often asked about journaling is, how do I get started? I sit there and I don't know what to write. When you're starting, this is a good way to start. Start by this. And, you know, record it down in your journal, and then at night time, reflect in your journal. And this could be the tracker that you use. You don't necessarily have to have like a full-on, like a purposeful tracker. It can be just something like this. If you do want to use some kind of tracker, as I said, I've got my daily tracker, my daily 3 wins tracker. That'll be available for you as a link in the show notes. And, you know, maybe it can just be down the bottom of your page in the journal. You kind of like draw a line and you just write down the bottom of each page something about what happened that day and how it made you feel, and I guess what changed throughout the day because you did those. This is also part of my 7-day reset, which my Your Best Year Yet people have access to. And one of the pieces of feedback from this is that they found that once they set their 3 things, it was actually easier to do 4, 5, 6 things because these little steps were so small that they actually wanted to do more. Okay, so it has like a real flow-on effect. Maybe you are a digital person and you want to, you know, record a voice memo every day or something like that, or maybe you need motivation and someone to, you know, be your wingman, and you might start up a group chat with a friend, and it can be just, you know, between the 2 of you, and you both want to do this and you both want to share your wins. Okay, so there's plenty of ways that you can do this to be productive, keep the results flowing, and also maybe if you need accountability, to find a way to be accountable with it as well. Now, when I bring this up to people, people often say, well, I don't do anything during the day. My day is just the same thing all over. And, you know, these wins don't necessarily have to be about being productive. They're about growing yourself and shifting small things within you. So things like making the bed, okay, things like one of the things that I often do is have a glass of water when I first get up, because well, there's two reasons why. Because I'm a teacher, and I don't tend to get in my water like quota for the day, because often I'm too busy talking and not enough drinking. But also, it's a good way to start the day. I'm kind of like, I look at it as if like I'm getting a head start on my water quota for the day, because I've had a big glass of water to start the day. So it's not really being it's not a productive win, but it's a small shift that has made a big difference to my health. Now, also setting a reminder in your phone. So if you always forget, so you might be one of these people that starts a habit and then forgets, and you do it for a while and then you kind of like it drops off, but you don't really want that intention to happen right from the beginning. So do something to set this up as a routine. Maybe set a reminder in your phone to say, when it comes off, like one in the morning, one at night. So the one in the morning could be to like set your intentions. The one at night are to review them. Maybe you just do it just before, as soon as you get up, first thing in the morning, and then do it before you go to bed. And that way you can have your notebook right by your bed and it's there as a reminder. Okay, so there's plenty of ways to try and get into a habit. Have an accountability partner. Find a friend who also is having this, wants to introduce this into their lives, and you bounce off each other. Some people think that these little things are really like too small to celebrate, and it's really important to remember that in anything we do in life, it's progress, not perfection. And, just drinking a glass of water in the morning isn't, in the whole scheme of things, is not actually really like a big goal. And it's not anything to really celebrate, but it's something that is a habit that I've done. And, it really does like set me up for a good day. So it's progress, okay? The continual evolution of progress. Okay, so as you start doing this, there'll be like little ripple effects that'll start to come in. So the little goals that you do will then kind of like build up to bigger breakthroughs. Okay, so as you start doing it, you'll start off doing slowly. And as I said, the people that has done this in my Your Best Year Yet program, they did notice big shifts on their mindset. Once they'd done 3, they then set it to 5. Okay, so they had bigger breakthroughs. And when you keep having these little wins, it makes you see what's possible, and you tend to take more action on bigger goals, because you can see this progress happening. And it's a bit like, I guess, like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, and then as it goes down, it picks up snow, and it ends up a bigger thing. Okay, so this is how this can work for you. Every time you tick off one of these little micro goals, your self-trust is slowly being built, and you see yourself following through, and all of those limiting beliefs that you had around, I never follow through, I start something and I forget, all of those kinds of things, and you start believing in yourself. Okay, you believe that you can do these things, so then you start believing you can do bigger things. And you might set yourself a goal, but because you have this habit, you kind of like chunk it down into smaller bits that you're just going one step at a time, and suddenly you'll have achieved that goal. And I guess it kind of makes you feel as if you are like always keeping up with yourself, that you're not falling behind, that the days are not wasted, and that you start to feel capable and accomplished. And when I say the days are not wasted, there are absolutely days that we all have where we start off with good intentions and things just snowball. And, I've called days on like about 2 or 3 o'clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to start. This day is going nowhere. I'm just going to start it again. And I'll sit down and I'll do something else, read a book, sit down and watch something that I've been wanting to watch on Netflix on my list, something like that, just to kind of like acknowledge the fact that there's other things that I could be doing as well, and I'm still feeling accomplished because this is something that I'd like to do. It's just not what I had planned. Okay. So I guess for me personally, there's times when this has happened, and the biggest thing, I guess, is like in the development of my morning routine. So when I started on this process, like quite some time ago now, and I was reading books, and these books are behind me. You can't really see them, but they're here. These are my favourite books that I have. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. And it talks about developing a routine. Most of these books say develop a good routine. So I decided that I was going to meditate 10 minutes a day. And, that was for me, I hadn't really meditated before, and that was a little bit of a stretch, not really knowing what I was doing. So I would literally sit with the timer on 10 minutes. The timer would go off and I'd be thinking, because it's hard when you first start to clear your mind and get rid of all those thought clouds that keep popping in all the time. But then after I had that habit, doing this for, it didn't take very long, probably only like a couple of weeks, then it really did become a more mindful practice. The 10 minutes started to extend. The timer would go off and I would be actually not ready to finish whatever it was I was meditating on, because I still had more to go. So as I did it, the 10 minutes grew. And then as I became to appreciate meditation more, and the clarity that it was bringing me, I then introduced journaling to it as well. And often, and I still do, I'll meditate. Sometimes I meditate to a guided meditation. Other times it'll just be, just me sitting there in my own thoughts. And then I'll journal about whatever it was that came up for me. And before I knew it, these sessions were like 30 minutes. It did mean that I had to get up earlier in the morning, but it was worth it because all of this clarity was coming in. And when I look back now, all of this came from one little 10-minute goal. It was just a little micro goal. I didn't realize I was setting it at the time, but this is how the evolution of these beautiful micro goals go. Okay, so I want to just we'll just go over these things. So the small wins, they matter because they build confidence, they create momentum in your life, and they help shift your focus back from the lack to the progress. And when we live in lack all the time, it's our ego taking over, trying to think of all the reasons why we shouldn't go forward, because your ego likes to keep you safe. And your ego is probably one of the hardest things that you need to train when you're going forward in progress. And when we live in lack all the time, it's negative, you don't make any progress, and things don't really change. So this is why just setting those little 3 small goals every day is a really great way to kind of like train your ego so that it realizes that it's actually not too bad out of your comfort zone, and then your comfort zone grows bigger as your ego accepts it, and then you can still keep training it to keep growing it. It's a pretty good circle the way it all goes. Okay, so this is my challenge for you. I want you to try this for the next 7 days and write down 3 daily wins each morning, and then reflect on it each night, and then see how this changes your mindset. And after 7 days, you may increase it to 5 or more things every day. Okay. All right. So if you want to track this easily, you can grab my 3 wins tracker. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And the link to that will be in the show notes. Or if you want to dive deeper into creating momentum in your life, let's have a chat. You can book a Thrive call with me. These are free. They're about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the direction of the call. Now, I want to leave you with this beautiful affirmation. Every small step I take moves me forward in ways I cannot yet see. I'll just repeat that. Every small step I take moves me forward in ways I cannot yet see. That's a good journaling point on this whole topic. So, yeah, I'd love to hear how you go with that. I'd love to hear how you go with your 7 days. It really actually will shift a lot for you in 7 days just by doing 3 things. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and it's given you some insight into the power of micro goals and how these small steps can create big shifts in your life. If you found it helpful, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. And this helps more people find this podcast and start living in alignment with who they truly are. Okay, bye for now. Follow your heart, trust the path, and remember, the magic is in the moments in between. Bye-bye.